I used to believe that silence made me invisible, that if I spoke too softly, walked too carefully, and needed too little, the world would somehow make space for me. Was wrong. Life wasn't gentle with quiet girls. It swallowed us whole, let us dissolve into the background, until even our own shadows forgot to follow us. My name is Amina, and this is the story of how I rose from nothing, not through cruelty, not through plotting anyone's destruction, but through the unshakable decision that I deserved more. I didn't climb by stepping on others. I simply refused to stay where they left me. If anyone told me I would become someone worth listening to, someone worth noticing, I would have laughed. There was a version of me who lived on the edges of life, always watching, always waiting for permission. And there were people who liked keeping me there, especially one man, Saad. I met him at 22, when I was fresh out of university and holding on to naive dreams, like they were lanterns guiding me through a storm. I wanted to write. I wanted to create stories that touched hearts, that made people pause and breathe differently. But dreams don't pay rent. Not in the city, not in my family, and certainly not in Saad's world. He liked to call me potential, as if I were a half-formed thing. He said it with a smile, the kind that complimented and insulted at the same time. You could be something someday, he would tell me, but right now, you're not there yet. I believed him. Isn't it devastating how easily we accept other people's definitions of us, especially when we haven't built our own? I worked at a small publishing office, then more, like a forgotten corner of a larger building. My desk faced a gray wall, cracked like old paint. My job wasn't to write. It was to fix other people's words, rearrange their mistakes, polish their brilliance, while hiding my own trembling desire to be where they were. It was good. Too good. And sometimes, being good without confidence is the most dangerous combination. You become useful, not valuable. One afternoon, after a grueling week of editing chapters that weren't mine, I gathered the courage to submit one of my own short stories to my supervisor, Miss Hine. She was stern but fair, the kind of woman who scared people into respect. When she finished reading, she looked at me with something I had never seen before: recognition. Amina, she said softly, you have a voice. Those 4 words almost rewired me. But before I could let them transform me, life took an unexpected turn. Saad and I got engaged. He was charming in the ways that melt parents' hearts and blur women's judgment. My family adored him. Everyone adored him. He was the shining proof that survival in this world belongs to those who know how to perform confidence. Our engagement didn't break me, but what came after did. It was a slow decay, a subtle rearranging of my personality, the tightening of invisible ropes around my spirit. He never shouted, never raised a hand, never insulted me outright. He simply diminished me. A book career, that's unrealistic. Writing is emotional, not practical. You don't have the presence to succeed. You're too sensitive. You need me to guide you. He didn't destroy me. He convinced me to destroy myself. I stopped writing. I stopped dreaming. I stopped being a me. Months passed. Then came the night. Everything changed. We were at his company's annual dinner. He was surrounded by colleagues, floating in confidence, like a fish in the sea. I stood beside him quietly, wearing the dress he chose, the makeup he approved, the small, polite, controlled. One of his coworkers asked Amina, "What do you do?" Before I could answer, Saad chuckled lightly and replied for me, "She edits, here and there. Nothing serious. Writing is more of a hobby for her." Something in me cracked, not loudly but cleanly, like breaking a seal. A hobby. All those nights, I poured pieces of myself into words, dismissed in a single breath. He continued talking, bragging about his achievements, laughing loudly, shining under bright lights. I remember standing beside him, feeling like a ghost. If someone had reached through me, they would have found nothing but transparency. That night, I went home and stood before the mirror for a long time. I didn't look sad. I didn't look broken. I looked erased. A softer version of myself that didn't belong to me. And for the first time, I wondered, what happened to the girl who wanted to be heard? That question pulled something alive inside me. I broke off the engagement. It shocked everyone. My family panicked. His family was outraged. Saad acted like I had committed a crime against logic. "You're leaving stability. For what?" he asked, incredulous. "Fantasy. ego. No, I thought. I'm leaving a cage for a chance at wings. He smirked, leaned back, and delivered the line that fueled every step of my journey afterward. You'll come back, girls, like you always do. You're nothing without me. Ah, there it was. He had finally said it out loud. And that's how my revenge began. Not against him, but for myself. I returned to my old desk, to the cracked gray wall, and decided that the world would hear me, even if I had to whisper loud enough to shake the ground. I wrote again. Every night, every morning, even on lunch breaks. I wrote with the hunger of someone who had starved for years. I wrote stories, buried in sight. Me stories of women breaking quietly, healing loudly, rising slowly. Stories of hurt, of hope, of humanness. I rewrote myself with every paragraph. Months passed. Rejections came. Some kind, some cruel, some discouraging. Enough to reopen old wounds. But each rejection became a reminder that I left a man who taught me to quit. So I didn't. Then came the twist. One rainy afternoon, as I sat editing a manuscript, Ms. Heine approached me with a printed email in her hand. Amina, she said, her voice trembling slightly. You need to read this. The email was from an international publishing house. Not only had they accepted my novel, they wanted to feature it as their annual spotlight release. My breath left my body. My hands shook. My world spun. I didn't just feel seen, I felt found. And in the days that followed, life shifted like a tide turning in my direction. My book launched. It wasn't perfect, but it was powerful, raw, honest. People connected to it. They cried with it. They healed with it. They sent messages telling me their stories. Bookstores invited me. Podcasts featured me. Events asked me to speak. Speak. Me, the girl who lived in silence. One day, I found myself preparing to speak at a major literary conference. The theme was rising after ruin. I smiled at the poetic irony. I stood backstage, adjusting my mic, feeling that version of Mitha erased girl slowly dissolve, like dust in sunlight. And that's when I saw him, Saad. He was there as part of his company's sponsorship team. He hadn't expected to see me on stage. He froze. His face shifted through disbelief, confusion, and something almost like fear. I didn't feel anger. I didn't feel satisfaction. I felt peace. My revenge was never about making him regret losing me. It was about proving to myself that he never defined me to begin with. When I walked onto the stage, the applause hit me like a wave. I looked at the audience. Hundreds of faces, waiting to listen, and for a moment, I wished I could whisper to my past self, "You are not invisible. You never were." I spoke about growth, about breaking quietly, about healing loudly, about choosing yourself even when it terrifies you. I didn't mention Saad's name. I didn't need to. The dignity of my silence was louder than any accusation. After the event, he approached me hesitantly. "Amina," he began, attempting a familiar smile. "You've changed." "No," I replied gently. "I just stopped being who you needed me to be." He nodded slowly, processing the truth he never expected to face. "I misjudged you." "No," I said. "You misjudged yourself for thinking you could decide my worth." There was no arrogance in my tone, only honesty. He looked down, then back up. "I'm proud of you." "I'm proud of me too," I said. And for the first time, I truly meant it. He walked away, and in that moment, the story that once tied us together ended without bitterness. Months later, my book won an award. Not the biggest, not the most glamorous, but one that mattered deeply because it recognized growth, resilience, and emotional truth. When I went on stage to accept it, I held the trophy and felt the weight of every silent year that led to that moment. I didn't rise to prove anyone wrong. I rose to prove myself right. From zero to hero. No. From erased to empowered. From quiet to heard. From overshadowed to luminous. My revenge wasn't in becoming bigger than the people who belittled me. It was in becoming bigger than the version of myself who believed them. And the greatest plot twist, I didn't destroy anyone. I simply rebuilt myself so completely that the old me could never recognize me again.